Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Aviation Spotters Podcast. I am your host, Colin. Today's episode, we're going to switch things up a little bit. Today, I'll be talking with my guest about his time when he deployed with the 391st Fighter Squadron, the Bull Tigers, in 2012 as a crew chief, and how he also got into aviation and his photography. So it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. DJ Davis. DJ, how you doing?
Yo, what's going on, CJ?
Nothing much, man. It's winter here again, here in the great state of Idaho.
Oh man, you gotta take it with you just gotta take it as it comes though, because this time last year it was scorching hot and the foothills did not look this green.
No, I agree. This is a lot more greener than normal than what we're used to out here, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean it's global warming that's happening though, so
Yeah.
but who am I? I'm not no meteorologist. But it was interesting though, because when I was at Jackson Jet Center once, they had these airplanes that I think they were King Airs, and they had like little flares on the under the wings, and they said they would deploy the flares over the mountains in certain conditions, and it'll make it snow.
No shit.
Yeah, like this. Yeah, so we can definitely, we can talk about that a little bit later on, but
Yeah, man.
yeah, I just had to throw that out there. I thought it was ironic. It was snowing up at Bogus, but it's June.
Dude, 7 inches yesterday. Like, man,
Yeah, we could definitely go hit the slopes after this.
I think we might be able to, seriously. All right, man, let's give us a little background on yourself. Where you're from, what else you like doing, how you got into photography, and what are your other hobbies?
Well, I am from the great city of Washington, D.C., 2,500 miles away from Idaho. Yeah, I'm an Air Force veteran. I used to be a F-15E Strike Eagle crew chief, and that's actually what brought me to Idaho from DC. And I started photography way back when, like 2007. I had like a summer job, and I bought a little Casio point and shoot camera, and I was just
Hmm.
taking that everywhere. Like in high school, I was taking that everywhere with me. And then I was also interested in aviation and military, and I stumbled across the Civil Air Patrol. So I joined the Civil Air Patrol as well when I was in high school, and our one of our commanders, he was into photography, and we went to Arlington National Cemetery and did the reef laying. What is it called? Like the little, the leaf laying. Sorry, I'm getting tongue tied.
That's all
The
good.
reef laying service that they do every year. And he had gave me his Canon DSLR, and he was like, you've seen you're into photography. Why don't you just, this is how you release the shutter. This is how you, change different modes. Go around and see what you can get. I was like, all right. And from there, it's like, well, like everything just kind of felt natural to me. Like the shots I was able to capture, learning about the depths of field and the rule of thirds. That was kind of like, my first introduction to getting my hands on the camera. But then in high school, my high school had started a magazine class called Friendship News Network, because my school is called Friendship Collegiate Academy.
Hmm.
So it was FNN for abbreviation. So Friendship News Network came about into my high school. I was able to get my hands on a Nikon DSLR. And from there, it's just like I fell in love with it. And I got in really good with the instructor, and she pretty much just would let me take the camera home and let me take it everywhere and take
Oh,
it out
that's
on
cool, man.
weekends, and even throughout the summertime she would lend it out to me with a couple of different lenses. So since I was also big into air shows and stuff, everything just kind of fell into place as a young kid for me. I guess it was just being at the right place in the right time.
Yeah, man. No, for sure. That's really cool that your teacher let you take the cameras home and stuff like that. That's saying that she saw something in you, and after seeing your work, man, I think that she was right. That's really cool that you're being a part of the stuff at Arlington during that time and being in Civil Air Patrol.
Yeah, and that was something I was almost joined the Sea Cadets, honestly,
Huh. Wow.
beforehand, because I mean, when my uncle took me to my first air show when I was like 7 years old, and I saw the Thunderbirds at Andrews Air Force Base, and I was like, no, that's definitely what I want. Like I fell in love with either wanting to be a pilot or somehow being evolved in aviation somehow. And
And
yeah.
we'll get to that later on about how you got into all that. But just real quick, what are your other hobbies
Other
outside of
hobbies.
photography?
Outside of photography, I love hiking. I love adventuring and traveling. Like there's like a rush I get just going through TSA and hopping on a plane and going to either, whether it's going to be Los Angeles or Las Vegas or Seattle, or even if it's across the country to Washington DC. It's something exciting about these trips. Just going through TSA, getting on the plane, taking off, just adventuring somewhere new or somewhere where I haven't been in a while.
I get that same feeling too, man. So I completely agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Just you're going somewhere new, you get to see something different, experiencing different cultures, and it's always a great time doing
And,
it.
and make some new friends too along the way.
No,
And
absolutely.
even though everyone's not your
Absolutely.
friend, but make an associate.
Exactly. People you get to know.
But yeah, but traveling, I also fell in love with snowboarding out here, and I love cars. I used to drag race and stuff as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I got a handful of different hobbies I do.
Yeah, so I got a new Mercedes, huh?
It's a lease.
I see.
I'm just kidding. No, it's actually it was a birthday thing. It was just a birthday rental. Along the hobbies of, I guess, being an auto enthusiast, I love renting luxurious vehicles when I travel.
Oh, dude, who doesn't?
Yeah, and if you look through any of my like Instagram highlight videos, you'll see like I've had Teslas, I've had Mercedes, BMWs, Alfa Romeos. Yeah, so that's part of the thrill of what I like to do. Is just driving these vehicles that I really can't. Well, I guess you could afford them, but you don't want to put yourself in that financial hole. Not just yet.
Oh, yeah, agreed. So anyway, man, let's move it on to this next question. So you say you're with Civil Air Patrol, so I'm assuming that kind of propelled you to get into the military then.
Yeah, that was pretty much like my first stepping stone, and how I kind of knew for sure that the Air Force was the way I was going to go while I was in high school. And even while being in the Silver Patrol before then, my high school it wasn't ROTC, it was similar. It was this program called Leadership. And I'm trying to figure out the way to compare it, because it was like ROTC, like how it's kind of like a military prep in a way, but it was more of like a preparation for kind of just leadership in general. Rather it'll be end up being like a supervisor somewhere, or you're in a type of job where you have to like help make decisions with customers and stuff. It's not necessarily for those who want to join the military, it's just those who just wanted to get a sense of leadership. And we had like a rank and like a ranking structure. Like we wore uniforms and had fatigues and dress greens and stuff. Silver Air Patrol was definitely my reassurance for going into the Air Force, because my uncle, like I said, my uncle took me to my first air show, showed me the Thunderbirds, went around to all the different stag displays. And then at the dawn of the internet, being like in junior high school, as AOL came about, I was definitely on airforce.com and like navy.mil and blueangels.com, just watching all these cool videos and looking at all these cool photos of all these different jets and airplanes. So yeah, Silver Air Patrol. And once I came about learning about the Silver Air Patrol, and I joined that, my mom let me join it, and she was really emotional when I did, because she knew this is what I always wanted. It's something I always talked about up to that point. So she was real supportive with it, and yeah, and it almost felt like the real thing, because we have like I don't know if you're familiar with the Silver Patrol, but they have like a mock boot camp. It's called like encampment, and it's like typically 1 week long. And you're like staying in barracks, you're waking up, doing PT, marching out in formation. It's just so cool. It's like such like the real life experience of what real basic training is like.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and it's also, they give you the opportunity to do search and rescue missions and to learn how to fly Cessnas. They also go to Oshkosh, like the biggest air show in the country, and they volunteer there and they work there and stuff. So yeah, the Silver Air Patrol is definitely like the avenue for anyone. Like if anyone's interested in military service or aviation or being in the Air Force or Space Force now, that's definitely like the way to start.
Yeah, one of my childhood friends growing up, he was in CAP, and now he's flying with the Air Force.
Oh, nice.
So he got a lot of good starts that you get the foot in the door that way. I was never in CAP. I considered joining it a couple times, but I never did.
Did you grow up out here in Idaho?
Yeah, I was born and raised out
Oh,
here, and there's a chapter at Nampa Municipal Airport, and I was been told about and all that. I kind of wish I did. Maybe it could help me go into the military aviation side of things and all that, and I never did, unfortunately.
I was gonna say because the Idaho Civil Air Patrol, like overall, like they are like one of the most busiest of like all the 50 states.
Because they do assisting with, I believe, the guys at Mountain Home. They help do SAR, which is search and
Mhm.
rescue, and a lot of other stuff around the state. And yeah, I mean, I never did, but looking back on it, I can't change it now. And hopefully, I can take my tests and all that and go that route that I can right now. Yeah, so mainly with CAP for you, that's why you picked the Air Force then.
That and because I realized I didn't want to be stuck on a boat for 6 to 18 months at a time.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too
Because
pleasant.
leading up to joining the Civil Air Patrol, I was probably about like maybe 17, 16, 17 when I did. But leading up to it, there were video games like Ace Combat that were out.
Oh, I played those all the time
Yeah,
too.
so and then the missions land on an aircraft carrier and get to experience flying like the F-18s, the F-14s, and the
Yeah.
different carrier based versus land based aircraft and stuff. And then after you start talking to people who do it for real, and they're like, yeah, but you'll be stuck on a boat for 12 months. You'll be stuck under, sleep under the deck of the ship, which some people can do it. And like, hey, kudos to all my fellow Navy veterans and active duty and Guard and Reserve Navy members all over the world and Marines. But that's just not for me. I like to be able to go home at night and stretch out. Because I'll get stir crazy. I'll go crazy and go man overboard. So I just have to go for a
Yeah.
swim or something.
Yeah. All right, man. So when you enlisted, why did you pick crew chief? What made you do that, or did they make you do it, or how'd that go?
Funny story about being a crew chief. Not really funny. As time got closer and closer for me to like what's called DEP-In, which is delayed entry program. It's pretty much you can kind of join your junior year. It's kind of just securing your spot in the future. And at that point, you can also like if you change your mind, you can
Hmm.
also back out of it. But it's pretty much just securing your spot and securing the job that you want. So when I originally
Yeah.
joined, I really wanted like a flying AFSC, or which that's a Air Force Specialty Code, which in translation is kind of like how the Army has like their MOS. The Air Force is AFSC. So I originally wanted an AFSC that was something flying, and they had told me I failed my depth perception test, even though I know I have great depth perception. Like I've had depth perception like all like 18 years up until
Yeah.
that point. But they said I had failed it, and they didn't have any slots for the original job I wanted, which was loadmaster. Like I had my heart set on becoming a
Mm.
C-17 or a C-5 loadmaster, traveling the world, kicking cargo and people out the back. Sitting like I don't know if you see these cool videos on Instagram now, but there's so many videos of people just they're doing like low level flights with the ramp down, legs just kicked out, the feet over the ramp. It's just this is like what I always dreamed that my life was going to be like.
Yeah.
But they didn't even that AFSC wasn't really available as well, so I was just like, well, looking at the list, and I was like, I guess I'll do that one. It said fire protection. So originally I had signed up to become a fireman. But as you know, as I don't know, it was like after like a week or two, I went to my recruiter and I was like, man, I don't, is there anything I could trade for? He was like, yeah, there's a couple different other jobs. If you don't want it, you can trade and we'll get you a different one. And I was like, all right. He gave me a list and he was like, well, you could do tactical aircraft maintenance. I was like, oh, what's that? It's like pretty much being a crew chief, what I did, working on the jets. And the thing about recruiters is, it's not that they lie, they just don't tell the whole truth. So me being the person I am, loving jets, because every time like I would see jets, hear the F-16s flying over from the DC National Guard. Every time I would hear them flying over my house, I would always get excited, run to the window, and like look at them. And so I was like, you know what, I guess I'll do aircraft maintenance. And he was like, well, do you want heavies or fighters? And at first I was going to go heavies. So I was like, cool, I can still be around the C-17, but I didn't know about being a flying crew chief. I didn't know that that was a thing. I just thought you'd just always be on the ground with it and take care of it from there. But I was like, nah, I'll do tactical. Jets are cooler. They're faster. They're more badass. And yeah, so he was able to get my job switched up, and then that's how I actually became a crew chief.
So just talk us through what a crew chief is for the people that don't know. What is a crew chief?
So, crew chief, well, the legal term of it is tactical aircraft maintenance apprentice. In short, it's called crew chief. The crew chief is the person that I would say we own the jet. Like the jet is ours. We give the pilot the keys to it, and they bring it back to daddy or mommy.
Yeah.
No, they bring it back to us, and we pretty much maintain the jet. We overall management of it. I don't know. It's been so long since I've actually like
Yeah.
digested and had to like talk about like what crew chiefing is.
Yeah.
But essentially, though, the crew chief is just the person, the mechanic of the aircraft. Like, because there are different specialists. Like, you have your avionics specialist, you have your
Hmm.
weapons specialist, a fuel specialist, structure specialist. But the crew chief, the tactical aircraft maintenance apprentice, they're pretty much like a jack of all trades that,
Yeah.
supervises pretty much overall all maintenance that's happening on the aircraft. Like, we're not aviation specialists, we're not weapons specialists, but we are secondary power specialists, and we are overall like structure, like pretty much like the secondary power unit. So everything that makes the jet run, from making sure the jet's clean to making sure all inspections and all the paperwork is checked off and taken care of accordingly. Yeah. So yeah, it's a dirty job. I mean, it's long hours. I mean, the jet is yours. It's your baby. It's like, you think you just your car. I mean, well, I guess the car is a horrible comparison. But yeah, it's pretty much just it's your jet, and you gotta make sure she's up in tip top shape.
Absolutely. That's pretty cool.
But yeah, crew chiefing is it's hard work. It's long days.
It's a dirty job, but somebody has to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of hydro fluid because you play with the hydraulics, you play with the oils. Yeah, it's a dirty job, and it's long days, long nights away from home, and it's cool because like you think it's like a 9 to 5. It's like, how do you go to work as a crew chief? You show up to the office, you get a briefing about the daily task, about which jets are on the flying schedule, and then you're assigned. Even though you have a jet that you're assigned to that has your name on it, you'll also get, if that jet's not flying, if there's no maintenance need to be done, you'll be assigned to another aircraft for the day, and that's the jet that when the pilots come out, you're going to be launching it out with.
So when you went through basic, then you go through your tech school and all that and learn the F-15E specifically, then you arrived at Mountain Home, right?
Yeah.
So what year did you arrive at Mountain Home?
I got to good old beautiful scenic. Oh boy, I got to Mountain Home in March 2011, and actually, it wasn't really specific. Well, I guess it was specifically the E model we were trained on, but through tech school, we're trained on the C model as well, though.
Interesting.
So it starts out like with what's called cold training or cold school. Not cold school, what's it called? Commons and fundamentals. Damn, that was such a good time. Shepherd Air Force Base, they have different like abbreviations and
Hmm.
names for the phases of training. But yeah, the initial training, the first phase of it is at Shepherd Air Force Base. That's when we're actually trained on like C models and D models, and they even have a couple of B models sitting around.
Wow.
I haven't been there in a while, and I haven't heard of them moving E model down there yet. Yeah, they have C and D models that you actually train on and work on for a couple months, and then once you graduate there from Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas, you'll move on. If you're on E models, you move on to Seymour Johnson in North Carolina.
Okay.
And then that's where you'll work around, get to actually see a live E model and work with various training squadrons, learning how to do the launch and recovery of the aircraft.
Yeah.
And doing a little bit more like in-depth training about like the secondary power systems, because the C models and E models have like different, slightly different avionics, definitely bigger landing gear, and a lot more stuff crammed into them
Hmm.
in a tiny space.
So what did you prefer more to? So you preferred the Strike Eagle or the Legacy Eagle more?
I really wish I could have had a chance to work on the Legacy Eagle because we were deployed with, well, I guess we could talk about that during the deployment, but we were deployed with a fellow C model squadron, and it was cool
Okay.
like actually being able to walk over and actually get to get a tour of them and see how like different it is, like having the conformal fuel tanks, the CFTs, on the aircraft versus not having the CFTs on them, how much more space you have to get around.
Yeah.
And it's really also cool just seeing like the legacy like Eagle Claw, like the
Yeah.
Eagle Claw that holds like the AIM 120s on the fuselage.
Oh wow.
They don't really have those on the E models because along the fuselage and the side of the fuselage, the CFTs have the bomb racks on them,
Mm-hmm.
which can be converted, and they can be converted to hold AIM 120s as well on the side of the fuselage. For most part, though, they usually don't use them for
Okay.
that. So yeah, just seeing the legendary Eagle Claw and stuff, and just
Yeah.
being around it is just beautiful.
Yeah, I bet. All right, so you were at the mountain home in 2011,
Yeah,
and then
and I
you
was
deployed.
Well, let me tell you this too. In 2011, I got
Yeah.
to Mountain Home. It was nighttime. I arrived at
Oh
Boise. It
shit.
was night. I was driving out. We were driving out to the base along I-84. You can't see nothing. I really thought it was going to be like mountainous. I thought it was going to be some trees. I thought it was going to be something, Colin. Give me something. No. I got to the base, like we got to
uh,
town. I was like, okay, cool little town, whatever. And then we are driving out another 10 miles in the darkness. And then
yeah,
there's the base. And then
and you're
again,
in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, and I'm in the middle of nowhere and I get to and we find the dorms. Like we got lost trying to find the dorms. I find my dorm. I get there. And the next morning there's like 2 feet of snow. This is my
Yeah.
introduction to Idaho. I just Washington D.C. where it was 70 degrees and raining. It is snow. It was no snow the night before. This was a setup. I had to walk through this crap to the hangar my first day of work. It was welcome to
Damn.
Idaho.
Oh, dude.
So yeah.
Yep. Yep. That's a rude awakening, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was cold. They don't give you cold weather gear out of basic training. They just give you like a little parka. You have a parka with a liner. That's it.
Oh shit.
It was,
Oh man.
yeah, yeah.
At
Welcome,
least the
Idaho.
mountains are in the distance, you know.
Yeah, the distance, how long it takes to get to the distance. They should
Quite
rename.
a bit.
We're starting a petition. We're going to rename Mountain Home Air Force Base to Hill Air Force Base and rename Hill Air Force Base to Mountain Home Air Force Base because they got a big hole right
They
next
do,
to their
yeah.
runway. So,
Yeah, they got the Wasatch a couple miles away, and the mountains, the Rockies by Mountain Home are at least about 50.
yeah.
Um,
So, yeah.
all
Well, so,
right,
yeah. Sorry
so
about. I didn't mean to get off going a
no,
tangent
dude,
right there, but yeah.
no,
There we
man, you're good.
go.
All right, so after your rude awakening in 2011, you were with the 391st Fighter Squadron, the Bull
hmm
Tigers, and then you guys deployed.
Yeah.
So, talk us through that.
And honestly, I wasn't even expecting it. They said we weren't going at first.
Huh?
They had just sent like a few people at first, and they were like, we might, things looking really calm. But then I guess things escalated, and they were like, all right, who wants to go? And everybody put their hand up. We're like, all right, well, pack your bags. And
Damn.
yeah, it was an interesting feeling though, because I mean, you hear the word deployment and you automatically think war, bombs, mayhem. Honestly, it felt more like a TDY, bro.
Really?
Really, really laid back. Like my mom, she came out to visit. I mean, one of my best friends came to visit too, before I went out. And I actually think the days leading up to it were kind of BS because it took us 4 days. It took us 3 days to leave. I just say
Wow.
it was BS. Not deploying and fighting for the country is BS, folks. No, I mean BS as in waking up at 4:45 in the morning, dragging these 10-pound bags, putting them down the stairs, putting them in your car, driving to the PAX terminal, and then sitting there for 2.5 hours. And they're like, "Oh wait, we're gonna go home. We'll try again tomorrow." Yeah.
Oh,
It's like, well, I guess I got the rest of my day.
damn.
But yeah, but overall, though, like once I got there, though, I was like, "Godly, it is hot." That was
So
the
wait,
only
so like
thing.
in a 6 month span, you went from 2 feet of snow to you're like, this is horrible, and now you're in a very hot
I was
environment
just
where you're
getting
going, this is.
comfortable in Idaho. So I got to Idaho in March 2011. So yeah, from March, so it was like about a year went by
Yeah.
until we actually deployed. So that whole year, getting acclimated in Idaho, getting used to things. Yeah, I was really comfortable because it was like we were snowboarding. We were like I don't know, just every weekend, me and my friends were going out to the clubs and to the bars and just having little hotel parties and just had so many friends in Boise. And yeah, it was like, and
Mm-hmm.
plus we were young. I was like 20.
Yeah.
So it really felt like, yeah, I was in a prime of my life to, actually having to go to work. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
once we touched down in Southwest Asia, and they opened that door, I felt the humidity, and I was like, this is not DC humidity, because DC is humid as ever. Like, because
Yeah.
DC is kind of on top of a swamp, and it's yeah, ugh, horrible over there. But over in Southwest Asia, man, oh boy, man, them doors, they opened the doors on the Boeing 777 we were on, and everyone felt it. Like, and you couldn't take off your
Oh.
tops. You had to walk around with the sleeves down on your ABUs. So I was just like, man, I hate it here. I want to go home. Like, but yeah, get into the deployment. It was all right though. I mean, of course, like anything in life, just like when you're 18, 19 years old and you leave home to go to basic training. It's just now you're leaving home again. This time you're going to actually do what you signed up to do, which is go serve your nation.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a surreal feeling, and you just have to adapt and overcome, and just gotta get used to things and fall into a routine outside of work. But over there, man, we worked like a work schedule was like 6 days on, 1 day off, and it was about 12 hours. It was about 12 hours
Whoa.
a day.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, people over there. So I mean, I'm sure like right now that just put things into perspective to everyone over there listening. Who knows a crew chief that's deployed? Who knows a fire squadron unit that's deployed? There are crew chiefs out there that someone's on their 12th hour of work, maybe 13th hour, turning wrenches, making sure that jet's ready to go for the next sortie.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Damn. That's
yeah,
nuts.
but they do have, some recreation. There's recreation over there though. Like we had a pool. We
That's
are the Air
nice.
Force. We had a swimming pool. We had two bars. We had a tent that had like Wing Wednesdays, and they would have like about four or five, no, they had like six or seven different flavors of wings, and they were only like,
Damn.
like 50 cents a piece or 25 cents a piece or something. And every Sunday we would get steak and lobster or steak and shrimp.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
nice.
so so it wasn't
It wasn't too
no, it
bad.
wasn't too bad, and it wasn't really like a super hostile zone either. We weren't really in like a direct line of fire of anyone, so it was cool. I mean,
Yeah.
but you will still be reminded though that going to work like because we had Tent City though, so waking up in Tent
Mm-hmm.
City and walking past the bunkers, like just seeing those bunkers, just being reminded that yeah, this is still a deployment, and like at a moment's notice, you could be hovering in this bunker, hunkered in with your fellow airmen, survive the attack, and then getting back out there and returning hell. So doing what we came here to do.
Yeah. No, for
But
sure.
yeah, it was cool though. Because me being an aviation enthusiast, like I said, I went to a lot of air shows growing up. I was in the Civil Air Patrol. I loved airplanes, man. I loved Ace Combat. And being over in Southwest Asia, man, we saw F-15. Well, we had our F-15s. We had the C models over there. We saw some 22s. There were some Apaches over there. And then the host nation for
Wow.
where we were at, they had Rafales, and I've never seen a Rafale up close before. So seeing those guys, then they also had
Wow.
They had hella Eurofighter, not Euro, yeah, they had Eurofighter 2000, the EF 2000, the Typhoons. They had
Yeah.
the
Yep.
MiG, what's the Delta Wing MiG?
MiG 21?
No, not the 21. That one's ugly. It was a different MiG. It was like a MiG 2000. It was called something.
Mirage
The
2000?
Mirage 2000, that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, that weird looking thing. They had a lot of those over there taking off, but yeah, so seeing all these different cool jets that I've only seen in video games, and seen on TV, actually seeing them up close in person, it was really exciting. And they also had have you ever seen an F-16 with conformal fuel tanks?
I have not.
Like, yeah, I think they're called like what was it, Block 60 F-16s or
Yeah,
something like that.
something like that. Block 60, Block 65.
Yeah, but yeah, those are so cool looking, like in real time. But it's also like, how the hell does the weight not break the wings? You know, because it's fuel tanks. That's
Yeah,
fuel in there. That's weight pushing down on top of the aircraft. But yeah, it's still like such an agile fighter. It's such
interesting.
yeah. So yeah, so they had a lot of cool things over there. And I even seen up. We also saw there's like a flying Dorito. I don't know,
Oh,
and I still don't know what kind of drone it was to this day. It was like
yeah.
stuff, something out the X-Files, bro. And even when I walked up to like the hangar it was kind of in, I wasn't going to go in the hangar. I was just walking up to the guy standing in front of it. 'Cause I was like, "Hey, bro, what, what?" Because I have my line badge. We all have, top secret
Yeah,
clearances at this point.
yeah.
And I was like walking up to the guy, and I was like, "Hey, man, what is that?" And he was like, "What's what?" I'm like, "Are you playing with me right now? Like, what's the name of that aircraft?" And he's like, "I don't know what aircraft you're talking about." Like,
Oh,
bro, there
wow.
is a drone shaped like a Dorito chip behind you. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about, man, but yeah, you can move on. I'm like, I can move on. All right, bro. No, I'm not even gonna get into it.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, can I at least ask where you're from? He was like, well, we're stationed out Crete. What's the other base in Nevada? Creek?
Creech Air
Yeah,
Force Base.
yeah, Creech Air Force
Well, you mean
Base.
there's Creech and then there's Nellis and there's another one, but
Well, there's Air 51 and all the Grooms
yeah.
Lake, but no, he said he's from Creech, and I was like, I did a little research, and Creech is where they have like the drone units at, so
Hmm.
so yeah, they got some cool top secret stuff over there. Oh, and there were U2s and AWACS and the E4 Global Hawk. Not the E, was it? Oh, the
Oh, the
RQ
RQ Force.
RQ4 Global Hawks. Yeah, those are real badass looking too.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, so it's
Got cute
just
little U2 wings.
yeah, so I mean, if you're someone that's an aviation enthusiast and you do deploy into these certain circumstances, you got to find ways to keep your mind off things, and just being around all these different aircraft and stuff is definitely a great way to kind of take your mind out of where you're at and kind of
Yeah,
bring yourself to some peace over there.
yeah,
Yeah, it was cool though. It was
yeah. No, absolutely.
And have you ever seen the Eagles do like a low break cross or anything?
I don't think I might have, but I'm not entirely too sure if I have.
It's kind of like a tactical approach, but they kind
I
of
think I have then. Yeah.
they kind of did it over Gowan when they did the air show at Gowan Field when the Strike Eagles came in real low and
Oh,
fast,
yeah, yeah,
kind of like buzzed the crowd like two by two.
yeah.
Yeah, so imagine two Strike Eagles doing that, but except for less restrictions and a lot louder and a lot faster.
Oh
Like they
man.
did that, man. They came in like Tom Cruise and Top Gun, bro. Like nobody knew it was coming. I was just standing there working on my jet. Well, I just recovered my jet. I was just doing a walk around with the pilot, and I just happened to like walk from under the overhang and look up. You don't even hear it coming. You don't hear them coming. You just see two little black dots right over the runway, about maybe, 700 feet off the deck side by side. Boom. And then you see them like both just bank off into, to the pattern and stuff to land. And it's like, what the fuck? Are we under attack? Like, what's going on? Like, you can bleep out the what the F, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it really like gets you excited, and then everyone just like looks at each other, and everyone just like, yeah, woo, America.
Yeah.
It's like just and seeing like those are really rare for them to do over the base, but when they do, man, it is definitely like they wake up every
Yeah.
gets the blood going. It's like, yeah, this is what we're here for. Air power. I mean, fly, fight, win. Well, that was the model. They keep changing it. I don't know what the model is now, but yeah, whatever
Yeah.
the model is, go. Air power, but
That's cool, man. Man, that'd be insane to see,
yeah.
especially like in in a combat setting like that where they're allowed to do that, not a civilian
Uh,
airport where there's
they
restrictions and all that.
Yeah, and they got in trouble for it though.
Oh,
I mean, I
damn.
know the pilots that did it like after they landed. So I got really cool with the pilots there. Because aviation, I mean, not aviation, maintenance and pilots, they don't really hang out a lot. But
Hmm.
outside of work, I mean, like I said, you got to keep yourself busy. So I hung out with the pilots a lot outside of work, just hearing their stories, hearing about, where they come from and
Yeah.
just the different missions they've been on, the different deployments they've had. Because like I said, I originally wanted to be a pilot and stuff.
Yeah.
But also while I was there, I'm a photographer too, and
Yeah, so let's kind of talk about that. So, being a photographer and all that, were you allowed to take photos on your deployment base or any of the bases that you potentially visited on your deployment?
so you're not really allowed to take pictures on the flight line unless you have a special pass and clearance from the public affairs unit.
Yeah.
But me being the photographer I am, I found the public affairs unit, and the first thing I asked them was, "Hey, what's it like being a Air Force photographer, and can I hang out with you guys sometime?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." And then, I expressed to them like, "Yeah, I'm a crew chief, but I love photography," and I showed them my camera and the stuff I had. And I had a Nikon D5100 at the time, and they
Yeah.
were shooting with Nikon, so they were like letting me play with like the different wide angle lenses, the different fixed lenses, the big like 400 to 700 millimeter lenses they
Oh,
had, the
wow.
telephoto lenses, and they even let me use a different body. They ran out a few different body cameras to me, like the big like Nikon D9, not 90, but the D like 500s,
Oh,
like the big
wow.
ones, the big external battery packs under them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those big boys. Like they were lending these out to me and let me take them to work and take them around base, and not just even shooting a flight line, but even shooting like different, like they had basketball tournaments, we had like a boxing tournament, we had like a hot dog eating contest. Like so many various different little different morale events around
Yeah.
the base, that they would let me document and photograph. So that was like a really unique experience, like being deployed. Like, here I am working 6 days a week as a crew chief, 12 hours a day. I'm still like a lot of the time to follow some of my passion and take pictures, and I actually got some of my photos published. Not got, I had some of my photos published by the public affairs unit, because they had like
Oh,
a
wow.
weekly press, or a weekly no, like a weekly newsletter. And
Yeah.
my photo actually made the cover photo for it from one of the basketball
No way.
tournaments.
Oh, that's
Yeah, and then
cool.
even when my flight chief saw it, like, my flight chief saw it, he was like, "Davis, your photos on the cover." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He showed me like the photo, the caption, like the photo credit at the on the caption. I'm like, "Whoa, hey, that's me." And a lot
Dang.
of people in my unit saw it. Just knowing that my photo was seen base wide. This base is huge. Like there's thousands of people on this base with us, and they all get this.
Yeah.
Everyone gets the same monthly newsletter. And yeah, so I was like, it was a really like proud moment for me, and that's how I kind of fell into love Well, that's when I almost fell into love with military photography, and I almost cross trained to public affairs after that.
Okay. Wow.
But also almost caught cross-trained into being a loadmaster, and also into flight attendant too. That was also one of my other options.
Really?
Yeah, and when I was over there too, I also met some combat camera guys, and
Oh,
my
whoa.
jet was featured by combat camera as like the background jet for some photos for the pilots as they came in. Like they were doing like some, I don't know I forgot exactly what the photos were for, but they just took pictures of the pilots with my jet in the background and had me out
Yeah.
there with it. And I got some cool shots from the guy, and was able to also talk to him like about the differences of combat camera versus public affairs. And yeah, kudos to anyone in all branches of service that's a combat cameraman, because they are out there with not just a Nikon and a Sony camera and like, some telephoto lenses, but they're also out there with an M16 or an M4 and some battle rattle too, fighting back the
Wow.
enemy. Like it
Man.
is like, imagine having to shoot and shoot. Like it is, oh man, it is crazy. Like,
That's
and that's what he told me. Like, if you want to do this part of it where you'll get to fly, you'll fly in the backseat of jets, you'll travel, you'll jump out of planes, but you're also going to have to fight.
yeah.
And it's like, ugh, and then
That's
stomach start turning, start getting knots in your stomach. Like, I don't know if I want all that.
yeah.
But someone is out there right now in the front lines doing it. So yeah, and kudos to them.
No, seriously though, that takes some nuts to do.
Oh yeah, all branches of service, all of it.
Absolutely. I agree and thank you all of them for your service and doing all that. That's something that I wouldn't be able to do and we're fortunate enough that you guys answered the call to do that.
Yeah, so we don't have to like, force people
Exactly.
to do it again. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do have, we did do like some squadron photos at the conclusion of our deployment where we put the jets together in like a pyramid, kind of like made like a
Hmm.
triangle formation of them, towed them together and parked them that way. And then we did pictures with like the crew chiefs, like not crew chiefs, did pictures with all of the maintenance. And we also did pictures with some of the pilots and stuff. And I was able to get out there with my camera and capture some of those, and I still have them to this day.
Oh, cool.
And I actually have one of them actually printed right now. It's kind of dusty. It's kind of it feels wrapped in plastic, but
Yeah.
yeah, I can definitely bring it over to you and show it to you sometime.
No, for sure, man. I'd love to see it.
And
Maybe
that's
when we drop this episode, you should post it when we drop the episode.
definitely. But yeah, so it's cool being yeah, having my camera out. Like I said, I couldn't take it everywhere, and I couldn't like
Yeah.
even stateside. I didn't really take my camera out on the flight line with me to Mountain Home.
Yeah.
But deployed though, yeah, they were, I don't know, it seemed a little bit more lenient, but more strict. But I guess it's just because the people I met, the relationships I was able to build, I guess, with the public affairs units over
Yeah.
there just made it so easy for me to, just don't really need much authorization. Like people were trying to challenge me on it. They're like, well, you can't have this. You can't. Hey, well, look at this paper signed by who? What does that say? Colonel who? Oh, I thought. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
With all due respect.
Yeah.
But yeah, good times over there. It was, like I said, it was hot. It was dirty. It was also like such a unique, and I'm really grateful for the experience just to be able to be able to say that I'm one of the they say like only like not even 25% of the U.S. population volunteers to join the military. So just be able to say that I not only joined and served my country, but I had a chance to go overseas and do my part.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Absolutely, man. And thank you for your service, and thank you to all those Tigers um, back during when you were with them for their service as well.
Yep, and yeah, and we did lose one of our pilots over there too, though.
Oh
Oof.
man.
Yeah, rest in peace, Captain Emily. It was yeah, it was some really freak like accident, but honestly, he sacrificed himself to save his Wizzo though,
Yeah.
because I don't know, did you ever hear about that and
No,
the
I haven't.
Tiger that went down? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can talk about it.
Yeah, if you want.
I mean, it's just something that also put into perspective because I didn't launch his jet out prior to deployment stateside, but the pilots did come out to the jets and they did like a couple different pre-flight checks and different like sat link checks and stuff. And I was
Hmm.
working with them during that for that to be one of our last like, engagements with each other. It's kind of like unfortunate and really really a little
Yeah.
sad, but honestly like his sacrifice puts into perspective a lot of things. But what had happened was they were flying over the desert and it was nighttime. It was a nighttime sortie. So, and over there in the desert, there's no light. There's no
Yeah.
street lights. There's no city lights. There was no moonlight either. During this little sortie that they were on, it was like a training sortie too. It wasn't even like combat related.
Yeah.
But during the sortie, they had experienced a engine fire. But when the fire had happened in the section of the engine where once they hit the bottle, 'cause the jets have fire extinguishers built in, but it's only
Hmm.
one bottle, and it can either go one of three ways, either to the left engine, to the right engine, or to the center, in between both. Or in the center will mainly hit like all the secondary power units, everything in between.
Yeah.
But the engine has started, if I remember right, it has started in the right engine. The fire started in the right engine, and they had deployed the fire bottle. But once they had deployed it, the fire had already spread to the left engine, so it did
Oh
them no
no.
good. It didn't do no good, but yeah, it was already kind of too late by that time. And then once that happened, the pilot, they started losing control because they lost power. They were able to punch out. Well, they were able to blow the canopy, but by blowing the canopy, though, the aircraft has started aileron rolling uncontrollably. But
Yeah.
Captain Emily was able to hold the aircraft straight enough so the Wizzo could punch out to get up straight.
Yeah.
But when it was Captain Emily's time to punch out, unfortunately, the aircraft was upside down. So when it was his time to punch out and the aircraft was in the uncontrollable like aileron roll, I guess we'll say.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, when he punched out, he had went towards the earth and he was unfortunately decapitated
Oh no.
upon his exit, upon his his punch
Yeah.
out. So, but again, though, his sacrifice saved another life though, and it was
No,
like it was a
yeah,
it was a real tragic loss um to the tiger community and to the the Air Force as a whole to lose a great man like him.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah, long live Captain Emily. 443 was his tiger number, so yeah, we have I have a tiger patch that says like 443 on it stuff,
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
yeah. So it's also because of that, and I'm not saying, he had to die for great things to happen. What I'm saying is though, if it wasn't for that, it wouldn't have bought maintainers and because you can ask any pilot in the any unit or ask any crew chief in any other unit. Pilot, like I said earlier, maintenance and pilots, they don't really mingle, they don't really talk much.
Hmm.
But and it was due to unfortunate circumstances, but due to that, though, we were able to kind of come together a little bit during those times and actually get to know one another a little.
Yeah,
Kind of seeing like a unique bond happening that most of them don't see.
yeah. I mean, something tragic like that brought you guys together.
Yeah, but yeah, all in all, though, I don't regret anything I've experienced, and I would, if I could do it again, deploying over there, yeah, I would do it again.
Cool, man. So if you could redeploy, besides being a Strike Eagle crew chief, what other crew chief would you want to be on?
Honestly, being a crew chief is a lot of hard work. It takes a special person to make a career out of this job.
Hmm.
If I could do it all again, if I didn't have a choice, of course, and I had to be a crew chief, I don't know. I might go. I don't know. I would say the F-22. I love the Raptor, but they can't sit out in the sun too long. I mean,
Yeah,
that was a long time ago, but maybe things are different now in the year 2020 with them. But yeah,
yeah.
if I had to work on a supercomputer, but it fried, if it sit out on a computer, if sit out in the sun too long, it fries. I don't know. It's not
Ugh.
a little fragile.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Yeah, probably F-22 though. Mainly minus it being a little being fragile. It's really cool how, the maintainers can easily just plug a computer into it. I mean, of course they still have to like the walk around and you have to manually check things on aircraft.
yeah,
But for some of the tasks though, you can plug in a computer to the jet and the jet can tell you like what's wrong. And it does like, have like different diagnostic softwares like that. So I can only imagine how the F-35 is as well. Like I'm pretty sure it's a pain
yeah,
in the I'm pretty sure it's like a pain in the knees for the F-35 because it's a supercomputer jet. These
yeah,
fifth gen fighters are all just supercomputers and it's a lot of like bugs that they got to work out. So I'm sure it's a headache
yeah,
on that in that aspect. But I'm pretty sure also it's like really cool when you just your jet comes back, you plug in the computer and it says, "Oh, well, check hydraulic. This hydraulic pump is given poor performance," or check the APU, or you can just go straight to the issue
yeah,
and diagnose it and fix
yeah.
it instead of spending more time like 10 hours doing a walk around inspection.
Yeah, you just plug the computer in and it tells you what you need to get
Yeah,
done.
but if I had my choice, I would redeploy. I would rejoin the Air Force. I would be a loadmaster on the C-17 based out of Hickam Air Force Base, Hawaii. Because those guys go to all
Yeah,
the
that'd be a
coolest
cool one.
places. They're on the island. It's always warm. It's tropical. Yeah, but even
Yeah,
but yeah, the C-17 is just such a fascinating aircraft to me. It's definitely one of my favorites, and I had a chance to fly on one in the Civil Air Patrol too for like an orientation
oh,
flight.
that's cool.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
like,
I've actually got a flying one as
oh yeah,
well.
so you see how like nimble they are and how agile they are for being a cargo aircraft. Like it flies almost like a jet.
It does. We had a CS-17 come in here a couple days ago before I recorded this podcast, and he came in on the overhead and then broke it like a fighter.
Dang.
And this it's just insane to see how maneuverable these aircraft are. But yeah, man, the C-17, I got to go up in an Emirati one. I got media for Mobility Guardian. We got to go up in an Emirati one and be part of the airdrop. Like literally, we dropped a whole 40 pallets or so of cargo out the
Oh
rear.
man.
And I got videos on my Instagram, so you guys can go
Oh
check that
yeah,
out on my
definitely.
Instagram. But man, it was the coolest experience of my life
What
ever. I mean, I
where did you
never.
go? Like where were you guys at during
We were at Fairchild Air
Oh,
Force
in
Base
Washington.
for yeah.
Nice.
So we went up there for Mobility Guardian Media Day, and we got the whole shebang, got the whole tour, we got the whole briefing, and then the colonel comes in and says, "Hey, this is our flight plan today. were going to be Avatar 2, and we had an Aussie C-17 and I believe a NATO C-17, and the Aussie C-17 had the all the top brass, a lot of people from the participating countries and the observation
Hmm.
countries to see what was
Right.
going on. And we were in an Emirati one, so we all thought we were going to go up in a US C-17, but then the whole Emirati team comes in. We're going, oh my
Oh, so
gosh,
that
this is going
makes
to
it
be
even more
nuts.
unique experience.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we get on, we board, and we have the whole pallet set up, and then we go in there, and then they start venting the rear of the aircraft, and then they drop the gate and all that, and it was just the coolest thing ever being a part of the UAE's first ever airdrop out of one of their C-17s. We actually got to document that.
Hmm.
That was probably one of the coolest experiences of my life, just being a civilian and being able to have that fortunate experience of being media for that event. But yeah, man. Anyway, tell us a story about your time on deployment. Anything interesting or kind of funny, or you want to share with the audience?
Got to keep it PG, Colin.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
one fun thing
Unfortunately,
I did do with the pilots. I don't know if they still do it. I'm pretty sure they do in the military. They get challenge coins. Yeah.
yeah.
So you ever and then in the Air Force, it was always like a thing. It's called coin check. So if you ever
Mm-hmm.
plug, you always supposed to have a challenge coin on you, and if you ever pull it out, you say coin check to your fellow airmen. If they don't have the coin, they owe you a drink. So
Okay.
during my deployment, I was working what's called end of runway duty. And I love EOR. Any crew chief listening, they know what EOR is. They probably love it too. Inter runway duty is so prior to the jets taking off after they taxi out from doing the pre-flight checks, they taxi out to the inner runway. And there's a crew chief. There's a crew chief, two crew chiefs, and like two weapons specialists down there. And what we're doing
Mm-hmm.
is going jet by jet, pulling all the last minute safety pins, and doing last minute walkthrough inspections and talking to the pilots to make sure like their armament is good to go and make sure that they have no other like issues or defects with the aircraft at all. No, it's just like the last minute, once over before they actually take off. So during that time
Mm-hmm.
though, I got really, like I said, I was really cool with the pilots and stuff. So walk up, someone will plug in the headset, and then I'll talk to the pilots, do a comm check, and then ask them to do the inspection check or whatever, and then like, all right, sir, you got your coin on you? And they were like, what? And I pull out my coin, I'm like, coin check, and they were like, oh, like, and there's two. So you got to remember, it's a pilot and a Wizzo to each F-15 to the Strike Eagle. So
Yeah.
if two people didn't have their coins on them, I got two free drinks. So I was like, all right, bet. And I went to the next jet. Hey, coin check. And they were like, oh, damn, DJ, dang it, DJ, you got us. All right, whatever. We got you later on at the Thirsty Camel. So go down to the next jet and the next jet. And it was like, coin check. And it was like, oh, like, so they weren't carrying their coins on them. Even
Oh
though they
man.
can, so they weren't.
Yeah.
So then I got them. So after they came back that night, I kind of got a little turned up. Had a couple free drinks, but they still owed me a
Yeah.
couple more too. So over the next few days, I was just coin checking the pilots every time I was working in a runway duty, and getting free drinks from
Yeah.
them until one day, my plan backfired. And the thing is about coin checking is if you coin check someone and let's say they do have their coin on them, you owe them a drink.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So one day I think I'm going to be slick, go back out there again on in runway duty, coin check. Oh, you thought you got us. Oh, you thought you got us. So so yeah, they coin checked me back. They countered my coin check, and I was like, all right, whatever, I got y'all. I'll see y'all later. Go to the next jet,
Yeah.
and then they're like, hey, yo, DJ's here. He got his coin out. Get him. They like, and as I went down, they're like, oh, he's going to coin check you, and they're like, oh, DJ coin checked us. Oh, counter. You owe us drinks now, DJ. Oh. And then I went down to the next gen. He just had the coin sitting there on the railing on the canopy, just waiting for me. Like, like I was like, all right, y'all got it. I'm not even going to try no more. Whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was fun. That's a little morale story right there for you. Just
Yeah, no, that's pretty funny, man. That's pretty
Yeah, not
cool.
trying to condone alcohol, consumption, but we're
Yeah,
allowed a couple of drinks a night over there, and when you get them for free, they
yeah.
taste so much better after working,
Oh, I bet.
13 hours in 110-degree heat.
Oh, yeah. Dude, any free drink at any given point, though, always tastes great.
Definitely. But yeah, it was cool overall. Just not even just my deployment, but just my time in the Air Force overall. Just being around the Strike
Yeah,
Eagle, because I always been one of those kids that like to push buttons. And so now
yep,
I have a whole jet where I can sit in the cockpit whenever I want. And I know which buttons I can flip and touch and play around with that aren't going to do anything.
yeah.
And it was yeah,
That's
and it
pretty
was cool. Like
cool.
even though we don't have to set switches for like when the pilots are like on their way out to the jet, sometimes I would anyway because I just knew it
Yeah,
just felt like it felt like maybe one day this would be me in here since like about to get the jet ready for takeoff and startup and stuff.
yeah,
So yeah, and but it's been I don't know.
yeah.
I got out in 2013, October 1, 2013 is when I got out.
To just a 4 year
Yeah,
stint.
well, 3.5. The sequestration
Okay.
2013 hit where everyone was
Oh,
grounded
yeah.
and they were doing manning cuts, budget cuts, and all that fun stuff. Like we were grounded for like 2 weeks or so. I mean, not 2 weeks,
Wow.
sorry. We were grounded for like 2 months, just showing up to
Yeah,
work.
no, I remember sequestration because there was the Gunfighter Skies Air Show in 2014. 2011 was one of the biggest years ever, and you might have
Oh
been out
yeah, I
there for
was
that
there.
too.
I was there.
Yeah, that was a
The
big, big, awesome show. Then 2014 it was just like
Yo,
nothing.
2014 it was like after the sequestration, air shows in general kind of went
Were
downhill. Like they weren't
they
as
did?
exciting.
Yeah,
It didn't have as many big feature acts as it used to be. Growing up for me, being at
yeah.
Andrews Air Force Base, I would go to air show like every year as a teenager. Like once, like from 15 years old, I was on my own out there. I mean, I had some friends I would
Yeah.
go with too, and we would see like I don't know if you ever heard of the Starfighters.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
flew the
the
F-104s.
Starfighters would be there. We got the Canadian Snowbirds there with the Blue Angels and Thunderbirds.
Oh
And
man.
even one year with the Starfighters, Canadian Snowbirds, I think the Blue Angels, it was the Blue Angels year. We also had like a Army, check this out, a Army demo team with Cobra helicopters that were doing
Whoa.
and I cannot remember the name of them, but it said there were a U.S. Army demo team that were doing like demonstration and acrobatics with the Cobras, and it said U.S. Army
Oh,
paint.
that's
Like you gotta
cool.
like Google this or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to Google it right now.
Well, I mean, while you're doing that, let's start wrapping this thing up, man. So you're into photography. Where can we find your work
Oh
at?
yeah, so my photography can be found all over Instagram. Recently from a vigil that they had here in Boise, I was there and I photographed it, and several of my images were reshared and kind of went mini viral around like the Treasure Valley for a
Yeah,
moment. So I got a lot of fan love
yeah,
from that.
that was really cool to see that.
But
Yeah,
like
what are your handles so people
yeah,
can
so you check
follow
out
you?
my my photography on Instagram at jetlag.media on that's again wait at jetlag media on Instagram, and you could also find me on Facebook at DJ Davis Photography. I've tried updating it to Jetlag Media since I've gotten an LLC, but Facebook is being funky.
Oh, very cool.
So, and you
All
also
right.
probably see me at your at an air show near you.
Yeah, yep. Hey, Gowan
Oh,
Thunder
is that
next year, man.
happening 2021?
Yeah,
All
2021,
right.
Gowan Thunder, and then Gunfighter Skies 2020 after
Well,
that. Or sorry,
I
2022
was like,
after
we're in
that.
2020. Is it? Are there
Yeah.
any shows coming up this year?
Nah, not with everything, not with the COVID stuff going on.
Oh, they
Everything kind
canceled
of,
all. Oh, come
yeah.
on.
Well, they canceled Hill, and they canceled Beale, and we don't know about Edwards yet. We'll be trying to get down to Edwards for sure, though. That'd be the one, but we don't know about that one yet. Anyway, man, real quick, do you have any tips or words of encouragement for any of the listeners out there that may want to become a pilot or just in general right now?
I guess words of encouragement and tips. I mean, don't let nobody stop you from doing what you have your heart set on. Like, if you feel like you want to be flying that B1B you see flying over your house every day, definitely go do it. Like, Your mom might not understand, dad might understand, your spouse, your girlfriend might not understand, but you understand. I mean, it's definitely, if it's going to be military service, understand that if anyone's against you doing it, it's mainly because they love you and they just don't want to see you get hurt. Just know that everyone does, honestly, all your friends and family probably do respect you for what you're going to try to do. So if you have
Yeah.
the mindset and you have in your heart that you do want to get into whether it be military or civilian aviation, don't let nobody stop you. Don't let your peers distract you. Just stay focused and keep your eye on the prize. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be glamorous,
Yeah.
but once you get through it, hey, you got to go through it to get through it. And once you get there, it's going to be all worth it. Yeah, just stay focused,
Yeah.
stay motivated, stay dedicated.
Absolutely, dude. You said that really well. I'm trying to do that stuff right now. Take my AFOQT, and hopefully someday soon I'll
Your
be
elemental
flying the
P, your what?
I'm taking trying to get my
What's that?
AFOQT done so I can Air Force officer qualification
Oh
test. It's
snap.
yeah,
Uh-oh, we
pretty
got
much is I didn't do
Lieutenant CJ
ROTC.
coming up. Second Lieutenant CJ at your service.
Hopefully that'll all work out. Didn't do ROTC in college, and I wasn't able to make it to the academy. It's just kind of my only hope right now. But let's work hard, and just grind it out and pass the
Yeah, 'cause
test. And
all that, everything
hopefully
that you're
just got
sacrificing, it's going to be worth it in the long haul.
yeah,
And even if it doesn't, and one thing I want to tell everyone too, even if it doesn't work out, because my career in the Air Force, and I thought I was going to do 20 years, even if it doesn't work out, it ends up being shorter than you think it is, than you want it to be. It's going to, everything will be okay, and you're still the amazing and awesome person you first started out when you started your adventure. So just don't think because it didn't work out for you and, service, you're not there making a lifetime out of it, doesn't mean life is over for you. Because there's a million and one other
yeah,
things that you'll discover about yourself along the process that you might fall in love with, that you might realize you're better at doing anyway. And for me, that was photography.
Hey, you said it well. You said it pretty well, man. Anyway, DJ, thank you for your time to come on here and talk about your experiences in
Yeah,
2012 and
thank you for
before.
inviting me,
I really
CJ,
do
man.
appreciate
It
it.
was really cool how we met too. Me and you out at Gowan when they had
Yeah,
the weather Hercules out there.
the National Science Foundation C-130. We're all climbing through it, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're also a aviation guy. Yeah, all right, cool. And bam, it
Yeah,
just went
man.
from there.
But yeah, thanks for
So
having me on.
of course, man, I appreciate you coming on and kind of switching things up and talking about something that maybe a lot of people really don't know what it's like being a crew chief and being deployed and stuff like that. And I think you gave them a really good idea of what it's like being overseas and doing what you did.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, that's going to do it for me here on the Aviation Spotters podcast. As always, send me those profiles of the people that you think should be on the show. Send me an email to avspotterspodcast@gmail.com. Send me a DM on Twitter. Send me a DM on Instagram at BOISpotter. And DJ, anything else to add?
I'm going to tell the people like I always tell my pilots before I sent them out. Ride hard, shoot straight. Always speak the truth.
Hell yeah, man. I think it's a good way to end it. And as I always say, keep those batteries charged and those cameras ready. And we'll see you next time here on the Aviation Spotters Podcast.